to do my review for Arsenal and Brighton nil. I think that overall the feelings I kind of describe is kind of frustrated, a bit of sadness, a bit of heartbreak now and then. I think overall kind of describes it was just a really poor performance from my end. I think the best metaphor that would kind of describe Arsenal's regime is one step forward, two step back. I think overall what I saw from that game was if you don't really do the basic needs of as a footballer, it kind of makes it difficult to kind of gain possession or gain control of the midfield or the game as a whole. I think if you're not doing your commitment, putting pressure, not winning your individual duels, those basic things are things that you don't even have to think about. It should be in your body straight away. We definitely did not show or do any of those things, and I think that's where the frustrations really came from. And I think it just made it a lot easier for Brighton, because what would they do is if I think that our midfielders or attackers, anytime we get the ball, they would kind of suffocate us, and they always suffocate us in two players, so it'd be 2v1 the whole entire game. So this is where we lost possession of the ball, and that's how they easily counter-attacked us. And once you kind of lose the ball from that position, I think as a player, it's just one of those instincts of like, you know what, I'll cover for them, and that kind of leaves another hole in the midfield. And I think that's where most of the confusion would come from, because once that hole is kind of opened or is accessible for Brighton's midfielders or just Brighton's in general, the players, they would kind of pass the ball into the midfield, cut open a whole midfield. And once you try to run back to defend, you know that you're already stuffed up as it is. And then their game plan, get the ball, try to modify or suffocate party as much as possible, pass the ball to the wingers. It's usually V2-1 or 1-on-1, and I think that most of our fullbacks had to make a decision. It's either I make a tackle, if I mess up, they're going 1-on-1, they're going into an open space and kind of kick a dangerous ball into our 18-yard box. And that was just basically the whole game in a kind of 20 to 30 seconds explanation in football in my eyes. And I think where I got frustrated is like, how can you not see it as a player? Because it happened time and time again. And the thing is, the worst thing is they're making the same mistake again and again and again. It definitely didn't help them not making the basic decision in the right time, the right ways to pass, the right rate of pass, finding the right player in the right position. It was another thing where we were so under pressure most of the game. We were just kind of bombing the ball anywhere to kind of clear it out, but the pressure just kept being invited left, right, and center. And I think it was quite evident because AUBAMEYANG wasn't really into the game, or didn't do much in my eyes. I know that anytime that Ramsey would kind of bomb the ball to him, as I said, it's 2v1. It's either one of the Brighton defenders kind of messes up or misses a pass, another one's behind them to kind of gather the ball, and then they go again. It happened time and time again, or not finding the right player. It's like a missed pass. Again, inviting pressure. So it definitely made it a lot easier from the first and second phase for Brighton, because there wasn't any attack, there wasn't any pressure. So they definitely controlled every aspect of the game. From my eyes, it's just basically, it was quite surprising that they didn't have a goal on target the whole entire game, because if someone kind of watches the highlights, it was just Brighton doing their thing for like a good portion of the game, or mostly all of the game, sorry. So I think that as much as it was frustrating, because we definitely lost the battle from attacking aspects and the midfield aspects, it was quite evident. And I think that I definitely have to give credit to Gabriel and Ben White. I think that they didn't put a wrong foot in. It didn't look pretty. A lot of heartbreak, a lot of heart attacks now and then, but they did what they needed to do. And I think another header goes to Ramsey because he definitely saved us. I think that, you know, the time that he needed to command the ball, the time to communicate with the back line, and the time to kind of save us in those crucial moments, he was there. He stood up tall, he stood up big, and he basically did what he needed to do. I think the only time that he kind of lost composure was, I think that it was one of like Brighton corner. He went to kind of catch the ball, but I think that he had like butterfingers. The ball slipped out of his hand and he tried to like grab it. And I think one of the Brighton defenders basically jumped off 2 feet off the ground and bumped him on the side. I thought he was knocked out. I definitely didn't know why the referee didn't give him a foul or a yellow card to that Brighton player. Again, I think that he lost his head for a good 2 or 3 minutes, because anytime that he was bombing the ball to get to the wingers, it was not hitting them. It was going out of play the whole entire time. But other than that, once he kind of composed himself, gathered, kind of, I think, had a little talk with himself, it was just, didn't put a foot wrong from there. I think one thing that most of our fans don't want to have a conversation or don't want to realize is, I think the absence of Shaka did definitely put a strain on our midfield. Look, as much as you don't like the guy, as much as you have your opinions about him, it is quite evident that he was a glue with Partey, because that pivot worked to a T. Because with Shaka and Partey, they were more of a shield to the back four, because all they had to do was defend. But I think they had really good communication skills with each other. They kind of knew who would sit back and who would kind of move forward and kind of progress the ball to more of like a attacking third. And most of the time when Tierney would kind of bomb up, because it's more of like an attacking left back, Shaka would definitely kind of defend for him, or close the space off. If there's any counter attack from that side of the field, he would close that off. I think that we definitely missed that, as much as people don't want to admit it. He was, in a way, a glue for us. And as I said, it didn't really help when none of our leaders didn't show up also. I think that kind of puts more pressure for our youngsters to kind of show up. Yes, they definitely have talents. Yes, it's already pressure enough from them getting the numbers, a 10 and a 7 and all that. 100% I agree to a T. But if your leaders or if your experienced players are not really doing the basics, I think that in a way it's just going to stem down from top to bottom from that field. Because as I said, the basics weren't shown from the get-go. Because as much as we can blame Arteta for how he set us up, you know, there's faults in there. But as I think it's just the basics. If you're not doing it, there's a higher chance you're not going to win the game. So now that I think the international break definitely came in a better time, because Smith is injured, Saka's injured, and Partey's been injured from last week. Because it was quite funny when I think that Arsenal Twitter page kind of put up the injuries for my players, and it was nothing. And I'm sitting like, what is this, Jesus? I've never experienced that. So God said experience of a good 10 minutes, because when it rains, it pours. So now our 3 main starters are injured, and we definitely don't know the extent of Smith or Saka. We don't know the extent. So I think that the international break definitely came in a perfect time, in my opinion. I think that's I think this type of performance, I can kind of look, it was a bad performance, chin up, we have 2 weeks off, let's see what we can do, learn from it and move on. I think for me personally, I don't want too much of negativity. We can kind of analyze, learn from it, as I said. I think that from games onwards, after this and after international break, other than that, I'm not going to accept or tolerate any this type of behavior, this type of performance, sorry. I would not accept or tolerate the basics of, as I said, winning your individual duels, just doing the basics, or even being a level-headed professional football player, you know, picking out the right person, not just bombing the ball out to anyone. That kind of invites pressure as a whole. I would not accept that from now on. I think that Brighton definitely put a shift in. As I said, I'm so surprised they didn't get a shot in, because I would definitely say it with my whole chest, they were a better team. Yeah, so from there, as I said, after the international break, I'm not allowing this type of performance to continue, unless we're kind of like, you know, Liverpool, I could kind of like, look, they're the best team, this and this and that. But as I said, I think that I'm going to criticize the youngsters, the leaders, Arteta, and everything as a whole, to kind of pinpoint what really the issue is and kind of go for it. So thank you for listening to my rant. See you next time.